Hello, good evening. Welcome to another drive time edition of the CantinaMX podcast. It could be another gentleman's agreement edition, remix, as it were. We'll see how it turns out. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you with us this evening. It's a Monday evening. Just finished producing some high quality television up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Heading back down south to my home, which means that there's only one place that one can stop when you're between Dallas and Austin, and that, of course, is the lovely, lovely Czech stop in West Texas, where once again the demon has gotten the better of me and made me stop and get more cream cheese kolaches, which I can't quit. I can't quit them. I cannot quit them. But it's a good way to store up some fuel for the last hour and a half or so of my drive before I can get home. But we have a lot to get to tonight. Another huge weekend in Liga MX. Some very interesting results, to say the least. And to help me break it all down, as he does every so often, Joel Aceves joins us from Southern California at an undisclosed location. Joel Aceves, how are you, sir?
Greetings, John. I'm in downtown Los Angeles right now.
Downtown Los Angeles.
The Westlake area. I'm in or Little Central America. Right here on by MacArthur Park in Alvarado.
Well, glad to have you with us, Joel. A lot of very interesting results in Liga MX. It's not often, Joel, that in the Liguilla, at least in the short season era, that we have seeds 1, 2, and 3 survive the first round. And we almost had seed number 4 survive, although they didn't end up scoring goals. But, you know, the one that's the least upsetting, the least surprise, is when the 5 seed beats the 15. That's what we saw this week with Monterrey beating Santos. Santos, the team with the most prolific scoring duo in Liga MX in this past Apertura 18 season, did not score a goal, Joel, not a sausage, and lost out 3-0 on aggregate to Monterrey, a team that frankly I've been warning people about. Letting them know that Monterrey, they are there. You know, they've got the payroll, they got the players. You know, if they catch fire, they could be a very dangerous team for anybody to play. And they did it to Santos. They won 1-0 at home, won 2-0 over Torreon. Dispatched the former champs pretty easily. And now, Joel, they play the team that you have adopted for this season, Cruz Azul, which also didn't have any problem in taking care of their quarterfinal opponent, beating Querétaro 2-0 on the road, tying 1-1 at the Azteca. But by the time that they tied, there was no way that Querétaro was going to score the goals that they needed. So we have a semifinal, Joel, 2 heavyweights in Liga MX, Cruz Azul, which I think that we're seeing a bit of a renaissance with Cruz Azul. You know, people forget how popular Cruz Azul is, Joel. And the Celeste is starting to come out of the woodwork. People that were ashamed to admit that they were Cruz Azul fans in the past are now proudly wearing the blue cross on their chests, pounding it. You know, saying that they are a proud cementero and are back where they think they belong, which is, you know, in the deep rounds of the Liguilla, a team that you've adopted, Joel. Joel, Cruz Azul Monterrey. What does your gut tell you? Does Cruz Azul keep it going?
You know, yeah, I think this match could go either way, and I'm a keep my statement from last week that the winner of this, that This will be the final adelantada. The winner is most likely to me to lift the league championship.
You did say that last week that this would be the final adelantada, as you pointed out. Two very strong teams, and nothing. And I'm not taking anything away from America and Pumas. Two teams that had excellent seasons in Liga MX. But I mean, I might have to agree with you here, and of course, it pains me to say that, being a big Pumas fan that I am.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely. I mean, I know that Monterrey finished 5th in the table and this and that. But Monterrey is a lot like Tigres. I mean, if they start catching fire at the right time, which it looks like they could possibly be doing, then it could pose to be a very difficult task for Cruz Azul to get past them and eliminate them. Now, where I do think Cruz Azul has a huge advantage, which is where I thought that Pumas had a big advantage, and I've seen Pumas do this to Regio team in the past, and I've seen other Mexico City teams do the same, is they play the second leg in Mexico City, and Regios do not like playing in Mexico City because the altitude is so it makes a difference. Now, it's not so bad when Guadalajara teams, etc., go to Mexico City because the altitude really isn't that much different. But for Monterrey, it is very different, and I think because of that, I do think that Cruz Azul does have a slight advantage, especially they do have a slight advantage, especially if they can manage to get a result. And in a two-legged tie in soccer, when you say a result in the first leg, to me a result in the first leg is getting a goal. If you lose 2-1, so be it. But get that goal. Just don't lose by more than 2 goals. So if you can get 1-1, 2-1 is an excellent result if you're playing the second leg at home. Case in point, Joel, Pumas get the early goal against Tigres, only lose 2-1. And so now all they really need to do in CEU is to get 1 goal against Tigres and kind of put Tigres against the wall. And of course it ended up 3-1, but Pumas had much less pressure in their game to where they didn't feel like they had to score, within the first 15-20 minutes in order to start a comeback. They were able to play patiently. They got lucky. I'm not going to lie. Tigres probably should have scored. They had a really good chance in the first half. It didn't happen. Pumas was able to get one. Now Tigres got it right back, but that Pumas responded 5 minutes later to get to go up 2-1, and at that point it was. I say it was academic, but that forced Tigres then to go chasing, and like I mentioned earlier, Regio teams have a hard time chasing in Mexico City. And if Cruz Azul can make Monterrey chase them at the Azteca, then I think Cruz Azul has a very good chance to advance.
Yeah, and they already beat Rayados during the regular season at Azteca 2-1.
And was it in Monterrey or was it in
No,
at the Azteca?
It was at the Azteca. So they have that going for them. Yes.
Yeah, and they have a really good goal scorer, and I mean the goal that Funes Mori scored midweek. I mean, holy smokes! What an outstanding goal! The goal of the year so far. I'm not just in Liguilla, but in Liga MX. For the whole season, I would say for the whole calendar year. Just an absolutely outstanding goal. Very impressive. A very talented team that Monterrey has. But you know what? Cruz Azul is they're talented in their own right. Now they may not have the star power, but they play well together, and it's gonna be fun to see how it plays out.
Yeah, both Funes Mori and Pizarro. Pizarro at the start of the season, he was looking like a bust.
Yes, but he was.
He's beginning to make his high transfer fee. He's beginning to justify that. Monterrey definitely has that. They do have players that can be game changers that can turn a match around on a brilliant play. So there. I think I'm expecting an even match.
Yeah, it is going to be very very entertaining to say the least. And now I'm not making a comparison in skill or talent or anything, but I see the way that Pizarro has been playing over the past couple of weeks, and I'm reminded of the first season that Gareth Bale went to Real Madrid. Again, this is I'm not I'm not saying that Rodolfo Pizarro is a comparable talent to Gareth Bale. Of course, he's much better. So let's just say he's much better. No, my point is that Gareth Bale, he played. He was okay. He didn't do much, but then he scored 2 goals in the Champions League final, and it got them. It won the first of their of the string of Champions League finals that Real Madrid has won over the past few years. And that to me, I remember telling my wife, says, he didn't. I said they signed that guy for whatever it was, 100 million, whatever, a big number. And I said, and he hadn't really lived up to it in the sense, as far as, being incredibly productive player. But I told her, I said, those 2 goals right there more than made up for it. And that's kind of how I feel things might go for Pizarro if he, plays up to his capability. And it looks like he's starting to get in the mood. Then people will say that the price tag was justified and he earned his fees. And let's face it, Pizarro, Joel, is a player that the way that he was playing at Pumas, he should not only should he have been on the national team, he probably should have started. And to show how far his form went, he wasn't even selected for the World Cup. Right?
Wait, did you say Pumas? Do you mean Chivas?
Yeah, Chivas. Did I say Pumas? I meant Chivas.
Yes, you did. You're still on cloud 9, Yon, I don't blame you.
Well, we'll talk about that here. We'll talk about that here in a second. So Pizarro could be a wild card for sure.
Yeah, he was one of the guys that it was highly contested by a lot of tricolor fans that felt that he should have gone to the World Cup. I wasn't too sure going into the event, and it's hard. It's hard, it's hard to gauge these things a lot of times. But knowing now what I know about certain players, how they dropped in form and how they had, like, for example, a Gio, because I was very high on Gio, and I don't know from where it came, but that was one of the comparisons, or one of the discussions I had read, Pizarro over Gio. I guess because a lot of people had already seen he wasn't doing anything. Not saying they play the same position, but that was and I was the Gio believer, so I was like, he's done so much, He puts the verde and he transforms.
Yeah, you're talking to somebody who felt the exact same way.
Yeah.
Giovanni Dos Santos' entire professional career has been defined not what he's done at the club level, but what he's done at the national team level. That's why he's a galaxy. He's not a galaxy because of what he did over at
Villarreal
or Santander. He plays for Galaxy because of what he did for Mexico. Period. Punto y aparte.
Yes, this guy was sadly going, and kind of still hasn't been able to recover injuries and whatnot. And so I do think Pizarro would have. He was just more hungry at that point, Probably would have. He would have had more to offer.
Well, he's still young, so it's not like, he's over the hill. But he is definitely for these. Come on. Let's. For the players that they're calling up. Of course they had wanted to call up. And maybe Tuca's one of those, like, I know what he can do. I don't need to even bother with him because I know he's great. And so, but like I said, I think that he is starting to get in the mood, and He scores. And let's not forget who scored the goals against Tigres when Chivas made their title run. Remind the audience, who scored those goals.
Yes. It was not trophies. I remember that much.
No, it was not La Chofis. You're exactly right. It was Rodolfo Pizarro.
It was Pizarro, man. He's and Monterrey right now, they have this kid. I'm forgetting his name, but seems to have displaced Jonathan Gonzalez, who was all the rage up until now, and he seems to have benched him. Trying to get his name.
I mean, that's why it's dangerous to pin your hopes on an 18-year-old kid.
No, he's young. He's still good, but it's good to have.
I understand. Well, all I'm saying is, you're 18. I mean, it's think of what you were doing when you were 18. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. No, he's still a top talent.
But I think what it speaks to is how talented this guy that has replaced him is.
Yeah, and it's looking good. It's looking good for the selección.
If Cesar Montes isn't playing for Monterrey, should we go ahead and cut him loose?
Chivas, he talked about Chivas' interest, but who knows? I mean, Chivas just hired Mier, signed, I should say. Said hired. They signed Mier and they picked up some, I think, a Seattle Sounders reject, with all due respect. Some guy that was a free agent from MLS, top defender, about 6'2". They're saying that he's on loan. Not on loan, he's on a tryout. And they re-signed it's Jair. Keep confusing the names. Jair Pereira. Yeah, I keep thinking the other. That's another Jair. But yeah, they re-signed that guy. So that was one of the. I think that was one of the. If they managed to sell Jair, because Chivas not just money, it's also clearing salary cap. That's one of the things a lot of my Chi hermanos need to understand. So it's not just having the money to buy a player, but also having the funds to pay the weekly wages. So, but Jair got resigned in Mier, so I was very hopeful on Montes, but it's not looking too likely.
So no Montes for Chivas. Should Pumas go ahead and sign him then?
Yeah, and
para rescatarlo ya de una vez.
Yeah, man. Any team that is willing to,
I think Montes has been hurt, and I don't think that they want to rush him back. And Monterrey's deep enough to where they don't necessarily have to plan. So I think Montes will be back in Monterrey once he comes to a full form. But see, Monterrey is a team that's deep enough that they don't have to play Montes at 70%. Have him get exposed because he's not, playing at his full capacity, and so hopefully they'll start bringing him back into the fold as he gets healthier and healthier. So something to keep an eye on. So we'll get to your predictions in a minute, Joel, but we will jump to the other side of the bracket where. In the first leg of the first match Thursday night, we talked about it. We talked about the kid for Toluca. Is it Alexi Vega? Is that his name? Alexi Vega?
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah. Like we were gushing. We were gushing. we were. He might as well have been the next Luis Garcia the way we were talking about it. We've even put a picture on the cover of our. He was our cover story, the striker for Toluca. Well, they draw 2-2 on a last second goal from him. Pumas wins, or is ahead 1-0 against Tigres, but Tigres is able to come back second half to win 2-1. But again, a very, very important goal that Pumas scored, because that gave them a leg up on one of the tiebreakers. So actually, two of the tiebreakers that I think about it. And I think that had a lot to do, Joel, with how Pumas played the game. That they were a little more patient than one would expect maybe a team to come out and play when they're a goal down, but they know they're playing at home. They know they're playing, in that scorching 68-degree heat in Mexico. It's like LA. It's like LA. It's like what in the 60s during the day, so it's not terrible. And it ended up paying off for Pumas. Now the way that the game turned out, a 3-1 win for them. But having that goal in their pocket, I think it certainly changed the way that they approached the game, and ultimately ended up paying off for them, because they did get the 3-1 win. Even though, and then this is where the other team has the leg up on you, and this happened against Pumas when they played America. When they played America in the Liguilla, when they won 3-0 at the Azteca. And then they played America in the second leg in Seoul, and we're down 3-1. And then Pumas scores a goal, and you're thinking, oh, well, this thing is ice. That goal was meaningless. It just didn't mean anything. Because if America would score, then Pumas would have to score another one. So it was that was kind of almost what we saw when America played Toluca. Scored a goal that ended up being almost meaningless. But Joel, back to Pumas, as I'm kind of rambling and digressing, but I'll get back to the point at hand. They may have put an end to the Tigres era. There are some players that I think are going to go away. I don't think Edu Vargas is going to stay at Tigres for much longer. He didn't re-sign, Gignac did. So that should tell you everything you need to know about how they feel about Edu Vargas.
Yeah, there seem to be some problems between him and Tuca. That I recall
I don't think Tuca
hearing.
ever wanted him.
He just brought him in, huh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Tuca he signed with Tigres until 2020. So I guess
Right.
he's gonna rebuild the team, probably rebuild it around Gignac. He was their leading goal scorer. They had that jersey with a badge. I don't know if you saw it, Yon.
Everyone in Mexico has been outstanding.
Did you see the commemorative badge they added to the jersey?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's a bit over the top, but that whole town is very high on Gignac, so
Well,
he most likely will continue to be their top draw for the next 2 years. So they're just gonna have to bring in some top players, to help the team stay competitive.
Well, Gignac, and we talked about this with our friend of the show, Michel Richaud. We asked him, who would he build a team around if he wanted to go long term, and who short term? And he said, I would take Gignac. And he said, Gignac is the kind of player that he sells tickets. He just go down the list. But most importantly is that he delivers when when they needed it. And this was the first time that Gignac did not against Pumas. I'm not saying that it's the end of Gignac. I think Gignac's going to be just fine. But, yeah, so this was the, Pumas did a very good job of, I don't think Gignac scored in the first leg either. So, Gignac, let me just put it this way. If Gignac scores, Tigres wins going away. But it didn't happen. And Pumas, Joel, is now going to play Club America in the semifinal. Another class. So they go for one clásico to another clásico. A derby.
Yeah, Pumas is smoothing the road for Cruz Azul. I kind of see it. They're doing what Toronto did for Chivas at the CONCACAF Cup. They're doing the heavy lifting.
So you think that that Pumas is going to go ahead and then beat Club America? Is that what you're saying, Joel?
Even if they don't beat them, I think it's going to be a very, it's one of those grueling games that just leaves you pretty devastated. It should be a batalla campal, man. Tempers could probably flare. Could probably see a red card or something.
Well, it has happened in the past.
In the game. Because there's a difference between the Monterrey Cruz Azul. Because I feel if Cruz Azul plays it safe, they're smart. They could advance with the minimum. They have the higher seed. They close at home. They got those type of advantages. And then, like you said, Rayados doesn't do too well in Mexico City. But Pumas America, those are two Mexico City teams. There's always been a big rivalry between both clubs, and tempers could flare, and this is a Pumas side that's shown a lot of fighting spirit. They're not gonna roll over. So I think it could probably be the better match, the more entertaining game of the Liguilla. It could probably be the best game of the whole Liguilla. That wouldn't surprise me.
Here's the thing about rivalries, and this is how I see it. This is just my own personal opinion. This is how I would describe. Obviously, the biggest and most important rivalry in Mexico is the Chivas America. I don't think any fan will dispute or deny that. And there is some, I don't know if someone call it hatred, but there's obviously some animosity between the fans, but it's not. It's rough, but it doesn't get like really emotion. There's not as much emotion involved in that. I don't think. I could be wrong. This is just from an outside observer. The other big rivalry in the MX is the Cruz Azul America, and that one is I think a little. Maybe a little nastier, but still not as important as the other one. And then of course you have the best derby, which is the Clásico Norteño, which is.
Now that you're saying clásicos, because it's a Clásico Capitalino, Pumas America, and they're calling the Monterrey versus Cruz Azul. They're calling it the Clásico Salado. I just saw a meme on this. Both, because this is basically a matchup between teams that have Cruz Azulearla, for lack of a better term. You know,
Yep.
Monterrey has lost quite a few finals now in their own stadium. Uh, and then Cruz Azul also, they're on a almost 20-year drought. So it is going to be the matchup of the, you know, teams that are salados. But Cruz Azul has shown more, I would say, overall. They've done more to get over that hump.
They've been very consistent. I mean, honestly, Cruz Azul got this. You know, if you've been following Mexican soccer for any period longer than 10 years, this is how you expect to see Cruz Azul play. Cruz Azul, at least in my lifetime, has always been a team that if it's not at the top, it's always near the top. Always. I mean, they might have 1 or 2 seasons where things slide, but Cruz Azul is always at or near the top. That's just the way it is. They have been easily the most consistent team in Liga MX for decades. And there's nothing anybody can say to dispute that.
No, and for Cruz Azul fans, if they don't, if they don't make it to the final or if they don't win, I think a lot has already been restored, a lot of faith, and I think they're beginning to be more optimistic. Just how the club is being run, and I think they're putting themselves in a position to succeed, so they will eventually win, even if it's not in this tournament. And within the next 2, they should be able to lift something. To lift not something. They already won They already did win the Copa MX, but they should be able to lift the league title once again.
Right.
Yeah,
right. It's going to happen. And
yeah.
And earlier we mentioned, we mentioned, that Cruz Azul is an extremely popular team, and you're starting to see the cementeros are awaking from their championship and good year hibernation. So there are more and more cementeros that are making themselves known. And I went to a game at San Antonio. I was working. It was just a a friendly Molero fecha FIFA game, and it was in San Antonio. It was against Monterrey, which you would think I would have thought at least that it would be Rayados country in San Antonio. The stadium sold out, and I would say it was 70% Cruz Azul fan. And this isn't San Antonio. So that goes to show you how popular Cruz Azul is. And the reason that they're as popular as they are is because for the last going on 50 years, they've been consistently one of the best teams in Liga MX. And I don't think anybody can argue that.
No, and definitely, yeah, and addressing some of the issues Lady Machina had about the players not having entrega, that's just not the case anymore.
No. And it starts at the top. I mean, there's a very passionate person who believes in what he's doing and wants to do things a certain way, and wants players to play that certain way. And it's funny because I know that that the news guys love to pick at him about that, and then make fun, and he always gets real defensive and stuff. But he's like, and I kind of agree with him. I was like, you don't have the right to criticize me. If you've never done what I've done, and or have the experience that I do, and I totally understand his point of view from a general manager's perspective for sure, but no, it has been it's in the transformation. You would think, you bring a guy like this, it takes some truth. It took it took 3 weeks for. I wish I was kidding, but it took like a month for him to lay down the way that he wanted to do things. You know, we talked about in the past. He was able to get the players he wanted in the draft, and
Yes.
in the signing period, and had them all ready to go for in the first preseason.
Yeah, he
All
said how he met up once he got the job. He met up with Caixinha, and he said they just spent a whole day talking, just trying to get into common ground and hitting all the bases of what they needed to
right.
improve this club. And that says a lot. If Che Hermanos sat flute here, if only Yera had that type, you know, he would have had that type of communication with Matias. Chivas
Well,
would have been at a better spot.
it's not
Usually,
just it's not just the communication, but it's also the method. You know, one of the things that I think has been that people tend to overlook, and how Ricardo Peláez has built his teams, and why his teams have quickly done really well, is because he doesn't mess around with unknown quantities. Why on earth would he bring in some schmo from Olimpia Paraguay, someone that has never played at a at a level of a Liga MX league. Again, no disrespect to Paraguay, but I do think that the Liga MX is probably a little bit better. So, why take a chance on an unknown quantity like that? Whereas if you know that that you're playing one of the best leagues in the world, why not get players that have proven their worth in one of the best leagues in the world, which is Liga MX?
yes, and that's just to highlight your point. To me, is one of the things that's hurting America. I mean, not hurting them in the sense because they did finish second. They're in a good position they're in the semifinals, but hurting them in the sense that they could have been a stronger team, where it's like they went after this one player, this unknown commodity, and then ends up like injured. That one French guy.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's just bad luck, though. But I mean, I'm talking about the guys that Club America signed Salvador Cabañas. He was Paraguayan, but they signed Salvador Cabañas not because of what he did uh, in the club in Paraguay. It was for what he did with Chiapas. That's why they signed Salvador Cabañas, because he proved that he could play well in Liga MX. I mean, dominating. Just an outstanding player, and very unfortunate what happened. It's heartbreaking, but yeah, you're absolutely right, though, and I also do think that America tends to, they there's a song by the Rolling Stones called "Star Star," which is how they list it on the album, but the actual name of the song which they sing is something a little different, and I do think that that's what America is occasionally when it comes to looking for players. I think that they fall in love with the name and the idea of a certain player playing more so than whether or not the player is a good fit for what they want to do. And I think Tigres was a little bit of a victim of that too. After they got Gignac, they thought that they had like a minus touch. So I think we're starting to see some of the effects of that. And a lot of those big names, Joel, if they don't get playing time, they're going to start to, become a squeaky wheel, and that's never good.
Yeah, it hurts the locker room. It starts dividing it, which probably.
We had it here at CantinaMX podcast, and heads had the roll for it.
Heads had, yeah, the same happened. No, but and then we kind of saw it because just how Tigres just struggled throughout the season, and they haven't been as dominant as a team as they can be.
Well, and Tuca was also a little distracted. He was dealing with the national team. And I think that there was a period for about a month that I think it definitely occupied Tuca's time more. So because I think they probably asked him to put together a plan, and I'm sure Tuca was like, "Well, if you want me to put together a plan, let me put together a plan." And maybe ultimately it ended up not getting selected, but you're right. The Tigres did have they just seemed a little off. I think after the last couple of weeks, everybody thought that they were just going to automatically catch fire and just beat the snot out of everybody like they have in the last four Apertura Liguillas. That is just too much. That is too much of a mouthful to say when you try to describe Mexican soccer. Apertura Liguilla, it's too much. But and let's give credit where credit is due, and that is the Pumas for getting what they needed early in Monterrey, hanging on for a bit, and not getting not getting chased out of the stadium by Tigres. And that seems like shouldn't be too much of a tall order, but when Gignac andaba encendido and they put him out. That very few teams in Liga MX can say that they've been able to do Gignac, and that's exactly what Pumas did. And which is why I think Pumas has a puncher's chance against Club America. And
well, you know what? I think any of the four teams, I think any of them can win the league championship. They all have shown that they have what it takes. So I do think it's one of the most. It's probably one of the most. When you have the Final Four, I think of the. Yeah, because sometimes you get a team that just kind of scrape by, or lucked out in there or whatever, but these teams have shown some good stuff, and I do see them at that. Anyone able to do it.
It's going to be. We've talked about this pretty much for about the past 2 months. Just looking at the names of the teams that were in the Liguilla, the TV folks have got to be just salivating at the ratings that they're going to get, because these are again three incredibly popular teams. Monterrey is an incredibly popular team. 4 incredibly popular teams. Probably out of the 6 most popular teams in Mexico, 4 of them are playing in the semifinals.
Yes.
And popular teams here in the U.S. as well. Of course, the most popular team is Pumas.
It's Pumas. It's Goya.
Of course, no, of course.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course, missing. But Pumas, I think, is a lot of people's neutrals' favorite. I think.
Yeah, I think Cruz Azul also falls into that category. And I saw it a lot during the Libertadores when they were making that run to the final, which was what a team, man. And they had Cardoso on loan. It was like, oh man, imagine what that team would have been something else.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember a lot of people, some of the places I would go, and more than half wouldn't even be Cruz Azul fans. They were just, fans of the team during the tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
Cruz Azul, what did Cruz Azul do? They're so inoffensive. Like how does Cruz Azul offend you? It's like, how does Pumas offend you? These teams don't. The fans don't offend. They're not obnoxious. And I know we had our good friend of the show that was on with us last week, Bill Hattrick, whose name, did he ever give us his real name?
He did not. I think his thing was Birdie.
Birdie, that's right.
Yeah, we need to get We need to get on first name basis with Mr. Hattrick.
Yeah, we need to stop this incognito stuff anyway. He talks, as one would expect an America fan to talk, very, a lot of braggadocio, and that's fine, we get it, but that, to the someone who lives life on an emotional edge may not respond as well to those kinds of boasting statements that Mr. Hattrick and other Americanistas that have been on the show have displayed, on the show and otherwise. But Cruz Azul, they don't, fans don't act like that. Pumas fans don't act like Tigres fans don't act like that. Chivas fans certainly don't act like that. So it's yeah, I could see how would be a neutral's favorite. Now, back to the point I was making, Joel, about the rivalries. I do think that the Chivas Atlas rivalry is really there's like a lot of that is a. I've always described it this way. Like when you really just hate something over and over, and it's like a hate that you really stew over, and it just gets compressed. And it turns into this cancerous, nasty black little ball that's like deep in your soul. That's how a Chivas fan hates America. It's just. But the hate, maybe not hatred, but like the rivalry with an Atlas, it's like it brings out a completely different kind of emotion when you lose, and I think that's kind of how America Pumas is. That it's a really nasty rivalry. It's also a lot based on social standing as well, kind of like the Chivas America or the Chivas Atlas rivalry. I think there's some socioeconomic issues that creep up in that rivalry too. So I don't know if you agree or disagree, but
No, there's definitely a lot to that in rivalries, but I always thought there should be more rivalries in Liga MX. We need more.
Yes.
We don't have enough. We're lacking in that department.
Puebla needs a big rival. Well, they have Lobos.
They have Lobos, but Lobos is pretty small club. It's like what Tecos was to Guadalajara. Small stadium. They don't seem to be a threat to anyone.
You say that, but Tecos had some good teams.
No, they did. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they weren't like a Leones Negros or bigger team. Even like Oro at its prime,
or Jalisco.
Yes, all those teams. Tecos was just like from the university and played in a small venue, so that no one just took him as a threat.
A World Cup venue, by the way.
Yeah, that 3 de Marzo was World Cup venue.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
One of the best goals of the World Cup. One of the best goals of the World Cup was scored in that stadium.
Oh, I've been to 3 de Marzo. I got to see. I saw a Chivas Monterrey game.
Hey, whatever happened to the Tecos girl?
Tecos girl, I don't know. She just.
She used to party with players.
I know. I saw some.
Much respect to Tecos girl. She posted some pictures of her hanging out with Ludueña.
Yeah, and two other guys at a. It looked like at a hotel. Could have been their concentration, huh?
Nah, it could have been just a house or some bar.
No. I mean, it could have been the players' concentration room.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it
Go
sounds
ahead.
bad, but the picture looked innocent.
Oh yeah, no, she talked about it. Said that they became friends. They would hang out together.
Yeah, they look like, yeah, hearing about it like, hey, these two girls hanging out in a room with three players in a hotel room, nonetheless. It just sounds, it just
Yeah,
sounds so wrong, like, you know. But the pictures look pretty innocent, and even you can even see the players' faces where they look shy
oh yeah, no, no,
and
they
all that.
were absolutely posing. Yeah, Lithuania had a big old smile on his face. I remember that.
They
But
were probably like, "Hey, let me go visit you," and they probably dropped by for a bit because, and you know, they had their whole gear on, you know,
right.
and when they
Well,
have in some
I
of,
think that when you're a professional, all you can wear is gear.
no, but when you're staying in places like that, you really can't. I mean, you know, get away with that type of debauchery, you know.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty strict. I don't know. I remember she would post pictures or give info, and then all of a sudden she just went off the grid.
Yeah, she did. She disappeared. All right, Hoyt, it's time to talk. Time to talk predictions. So we have. I don't. I know that last week you said, finale de nada. Well, now I'm making you pick one. So you can't hedge. You can't hedge your bet like you always do when you make these
Hedge.
important decisions. Oh, you hedge. You're a
Oh
massive
man.
hedger.
Oh
You're a
man.
massive hedger.
My crystal
You're.
ball hasn't been working properly recently.
Oh, is
Um,
that what it is?
no. I think yeah, cause you know what? At the start of the season, I even I even thought it was possible to have a Monterrey final. You know, Rayados versus Tigres.
Sure.
And yeah, it was very possible, and both teams made it to Liguilla. Tigres just wasn't on their best, and Monterrey is heating up. But that's the whole thing about Liga MX. It's very volatile, you know, just because teams are pretty they're pretty even. You just don't have that anymore, where some teams would just be that much better. As in years past, now most clubs are quite even. At least the top 10, you know.
Right. I mean,
They're
the most recent club that did was kind of a notch above everybody was Tigres.
yeah,
For the past 3 or 4 years, I mean they have the titles to prove it. But
yeah. So that
but you're right though. But the teams, it just goes to show you just how easy it is for well, more importantly, yes, Tigres was a much better team, but just wasn't really that much separation. It wasn't like they were, not like the Toluca teams that would come in and just smack you around 2-3-0 every single time. Although they came very close. So you thought Monterrey fine. Okay, so now we have Cruz Azul, the team who if I'm not mistaken, Joel, if I am not mistaken, the team that you picked at the beginning of the season to win the championship is playing Monterrey. Joel, Cruz Azul, Monterrey. First game in Monterrey on Wednesday. Second game at the Azteca on Saturday night. Prime time Saturday night. Joel. What happens? Who will be making the final?
I, I'm gonna stay on the train on the Cruz Azul train. I'm staying on that
Yeah,
train till the wheels fall off. Um, so yeah, uh, I favor the Blue Cross if they could manage if they can manage a draw or even to lose by the minimum and then close in, and I think they could seal the win at home at the Azteca. So I will say pita pita maquinita. What happened?
They seal, the Blue Cross seals the win over the gang.
Yes. They, yeah, the Blue Cross over the gang.
Got it.
La Pandilla.
So
I still don't
Azul,
get it why they call him La Pandilla for Monterrey.
That's just what they. Did I tell you that my dad he's a Monterrey fan?
Oh,
That's the team
Rayados?
that he followed. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
For whatever reason, that was his team. He lived in Monterrey for like 3 years, and that's the team that he ended up. That's the team that bit him, was Monterrey. I have to ask him. I'll have to ask him that question one day.
The sorting hat.
Yeah. Why did the sorting hat pick Monterrey for you? It'd be a very interesting question. All right, so I'm going to agree with you, Juan. I also picked. Now, see, when this happens to me next week, then you're going to be the one reminding me. Remember who you picked at the beginning of the season. But yeah. So I agree with you. I think Cruz Azul is very consistent. They've got Corona has been an excellent goalkeeper. They have, you don't have an eje de ataque. You don't have the head of the snake, tip of the spear, like other teams do at Cruz Azul. But what you have are a bunch of dudes holding spears, and I think that's where Cruz Azul I think can be very effective. Is that they're very balanced in their attack. You really don't know who is going to get the goal, but you know it's coming, and you know that they're going to be relentless. So, and of course, and Monterrey is a very talented team too. But I do think that Cruz Azul, because of the fact that they play the second leg in Mexico City, is definitely going to help them, and they're going to end up taking the tie and making the final. Now, we could have a final that doesn't leave the Azteca, but I do not think that's what's going to happen. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a Pumas fan, but my gut tells me that Pumas is going to win that final.
You see Pumas putting America out of their misery.
That's right. Yeah, the misery of coming in second place in the regular season. Man, that's what was cracking me up about our guest last week. Is he's talking like America had like the worst season in 20 years. It's like, dude, you came in second place. I know you have high expectations, but let's bring it down a few notches. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, their game. I got to see some of their game against Toluca, and it's a pretty entertaining match. And then I did get to see even some of the Pumas Tigres, the final minutes. That last goal was very, very nice. Yeah, man, that match, that Pumas America match, it's, I'm looking at the crystal ball, Jon, and it's clouded. It's clouded. Having a hard time seeing what, I say I didn't see enough games of each to make a more, profound analysis or
more educated decision.
Yeah, it's.
If you're going to have an opinion on the game, it has to be an unqualified opinion. You have to make sure that
no, it's my best.
Teams backwards and forwards.
Well, and then during the regular season, they tied 2-2 at the Azteca.
They did. Pumas was up 2-0. America was playing with 9 freaking men, and they came back to tie the game. I remember, and I was telling myself, if they missed the Liguilla because of 1 point, if they miss it by 1 point,
it would have been that
because of a stupid game. Yeah.
But yeah, wow. So that's just more to my point. It's how unpredictable this match could be. As far as it could go either way. And and then
All right.
Cruz.
So what
And
does
then
your gut? What does your gut tell you? What does your gut tell you? Go ahead.
man, I just you know I I could see Pumas winning, but last time I went against them. I feel like if I go for them, I might jinx them. So I'm going to say America takes it, and then hopefully I jinx America. I dropped the sal and you know
Right. You went and saw the witches in Macbeth. Macbeth's witches to see what you could do. I mean,
yeah
it is very it is a clásico. I mean, there are times when America has been clearly superior to Pumas in every way, and they still have to fight and claw their way through it. Now they did play in the Liga last year, and Pumas did lose pretty bad, but they just they were last year they were just barely they were very happy to be there in the Liga because of the season they had earlier. So. But this is a different team. This is a team that scores a lot of goals. They defend a lot better. They have better goalkeeping. Um, they play a style that's very direct. It is like the most non-Liga MX style of play in Liga MX. What Pumas does, a lot of long balls, but it works for them. Um, really happy for Pablo Barrera, who was able to get his mojo back a little bit. Back at Pumas, they replaced Nico Castillo with Gonzalez, I think, if I'm not mistaken, who was I think he ended up at third place in the goal standings. They have a solid team. They have a much better team than they did at this time. I mean, at this time last year, Pumas barely had 13 points. I mean that's how bad it was for Pumas. So, Pumas hasn't been as consistent as Cruz Azul or America over the past 30 or 40 years, but they've been very close. And people ask, why are Pumas so popular? And again, the answer to that question is the same thing as it is for. It's because they've won and they've won a lot. But what Pumas has, I think, over Cruz Azul is that Pumas has been able to create a lot of idol worship from the players that have come out of their system. And that's another reason why Pumas have been so popular.
because of very iconic players
of who emerged from their system. So that's why they've been as popular. So it's not like they've been terrible. They've but it has been a while since they won a title. Now, not 10 years, not 12. It's only been 7 years. But it's been 5 years since America. That's a pretty long spot for me. And it's been, close to that for Monterrey too. So yeah, there will be a title drought snapped 2 weeks from now, 2.5 weeks from now. So Joel, you are echando sal by saying America.
Yes.
So either way for you, it's going to be there's going to be a clásico because Pumas Cruz Azul is a clásico too. It may not be as famous as some of the other ones, but they've played in some finals that were pretty good back in the late 70s, early 80s. It's the reason, and I remember talking to them when we had Marquitos on the podcast about a year ago when he was talking about Cruz Azul. And it was like a memory that I had repressed. All of the hatred I used to have for Cruz Azul came bubbling back. And I remembered how much I just really, really, really hated because all my friends were Cruz Azul fans. Even my gringo friends that didn't know crap about Liga MX knew about Cruz Azul. How good they were. I mean, they were by far the best team in Mexico at the time. This was late 70s, early 80s. But Pumas was really good back then too, and they played in the final. Cruz Azul won. But so it's all it all came back. It'll all come back again. Believe me, if it ends up being a Pumas Cruz Azul final, which is what I'm hoping for. I do want to see it. I want to see that final.
But the televisoras would like the Cruz Azul America final.
Of course they would. They would absolutely want that final. Sure. But yeah, I mean, exactly. It would be the outside of Chivas America final. It's going to be the final that gets the biggest ratings. So, but it's not going to happen, Joel. It's not. We have both you in a very indirect, frankly sinister and macabre way. I've said that it's not going to happen. Now I'm a little more direct. No, in my assessment that it's not. But I honestly I think that obviously that'd be a big prize, but they would be okay with it with the Chivas. That'd be a good or a Pumas Cruz Azul final. That would be a good consolation for them. So, and frankly, they'd probably be pretty happy with Monterrey too, just because of the region that they serve in the part of the country. There's probably more Monterrey fans than one would expect. So, we'll see how it plays out. We will see how it plays out. Joel, before we wrap it up, we got to talk about our boy Chicharito, who got a start, got 2 goals, did very well for himself, and I think Chicharito is going to play himself into a transfer. If I were Chivas fans, Joel, if I were Chivas fan, I might start thinking about seeing Javier wearing some stripes after Christmas.
No, the way he's playing that, and then what he makes, he's the highest paid player. To be the highest paid player in an EPL team, that Chivas doesn't have that type of money.
So
they would have to. Yeah, they can't afford him, to be honest. I could see him at Chivas, but maybe when he's like 32, 33. But he's still a few years from that. If he's worked things out with, oh man, I keep forgetting the coach's name. Chilean guy. Huh? Pellegrini, yes. Pellegrini did say he was going to.
I thought they liked each other. I mean, Chicharito's been sick. I mean, he's been injured and sick.
He was, but they were making it seem like, but if he's recovered, and I could see why would they want to get rid of him?
Get rid of him, right.
Unless the wages thing is a big, because there was a thing of it, like they were trying to make a big deal out of it, that some of the players weren't happy that, about Chicharo's wages, how much more he was making. But that could just be fluff,
Right. Well, I mean, they're going to be in a relegation battle, so I think the chances are pretty high that he's not going anywhere. Because, as you pointed out, they're going to need him. And if he starts playing, he's, if he's back in shape and playing, he's going to play. I mean, they're good. They're going to play him. They don't have a better forward on that team. I mean, and then Chicharito in form, as we've seen in the past. And in the very recent past, is a pretty good player. And, he's another player that, I know that, maybe things haven't gone well for him the past year or two, but he is a proven Premier League goal scorer, period. So, once he gets it going, he'll be just fine.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's good to see him get back in his game. Chicharo has fallen a bit after the World Cup, but I don't see him. Yeah, I don't see him at Chivas. I think MLS is most likely to pay him what he makes.
Oh, I would actually see him at Tigres or Monterrey before MLS.
Yeah, but see, I think I give more. I think I put more weight on Chivas just not liking the Mexican media. I mean, and I think that
Right.
would just send them over to the States, where he just, especially if he talks to like Vela, and he sees just because, and there was this one scandal that almost blew up, was trying to catch fire in the Twitter sphere about Vela uh, trying to ask some girl out on Instagram or something like that, and that got buried right away. Like no one followed it, especially here. It just died out. It
Right.
was like it was just for that day, and like in Mexico, that would have been front page for weeks. It was just, interview with the girl and everything, exclusive photos and all that, and that just didn't happen here. And I could just see, you know, for that big reason, for that big reason, Chicharo deciding to come over here. Just 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 the number they've done on him, and just how the Mexican media will go into maybe sometimes a bit too much into your personal business. With
Well, that may be so, but I don't think Chicharo is also the kind of person that is very public about his private life. If that makes sense.
yeah,
So
he,
I do think that matters. I don't think it matters as much as you think, only because I don't think that he'll have that kind of that he doesn't allow himself to have that kind of exposure. Like he's not going out to clubs and and doing all that crazy stuff. So I do think, I mean, that a lot of that is. I'm not saying it's driven by the player, but a lot of, when you see a lot of athletes, they put themselves in those kinds of positions to have that, and I don't think Chicharro is that kind of guy. I think that he's proven that he's not that kind of guy. He's never really, he had that one, and God bless him, had that one fling with Camila Sodi, and tip of the hat to Chicharro for that. But so I honestly do believe that, and also because I think that he just, he's, Vela and Giovanni never had a career in Mexico, so they don't know what it's like to play Liga MX, right? Ever. They've never played in Liga MX. Think about that. Two of Mexico's most promising talents never played once professionally in Liga MX, ever. So I do think that that's another reason why I think Giovanni would come back, and also his whole family's in Guadalajara. Family means a ton to him. Giovanni's family's in Los Angeles. Vela's family's in Los Angeles. Chicharo's family's in Guadalajara.
Yeah, but it's a 2-hour flight. 2-hour flight. That's nothing, man. You would probably need to take a Flecha Amarilla from Guadalajara to Los Altos or something. Is the same. Is the same amount of time.
He's gonna take Flecha Amarilla. He's an estrella de oro, man.
Yeah, I would take those buses, man. Omnibus de Mexico. You paid about $5 more, and then you had your little TV screen, and they'd give you a sandwich, soda, and coffee.
Did you get to choose what you watched on TV?
I don't remember. That's a while back, but yeah, I'll get the clase ejecutivo, man.
Not bad.
All right, John. I have to wrap it up. I'm
Yeah, no, it's a good spot for us to wrap it up here. So, just to reiterate, I understand.
Yes.
Tú dices Cruz Azul, Club América Clásico en la final.
Yes.
But we really know what you want to say. But you're being very professional and laying down your curse, which we can appreciate. I say it's going to be Cruz Azul Pumas, and I'm not saying it because I'm a Pumas fan. I'm saying it because I just think that Pumas, for whatever reason, my gut is going to win that. And, you know, my gut's right about 53% of the time. So I got to go with my gut. Anyway, well, Joel, a pleasure to have you here on the CantinaMX podcast again.
Yes.
We these late night gentlemen's agreement podcasts have really caught on. We have dozens of listeners.
I know. We probably let some down because we didn't talk. We didn't talk Selección Femenil under 17 winning. Well, not winning, placing second place, which was
Subcampeón.
Yeah.
Subcampeones.
Which we're amargados here, and I'm gonna say the guy that put the female coach. It was Dennis DeClose who handpicked the coach for the under 17, and I think he just agreed to a Galaxy to go work with the Galaxy. So I think we could talk more about. I don't think it's been official, but I was hearing more today that they gave him a counter offer. Selección tried to keep him, and that they just Galaxy drove a dump truck full of money, and he's like, I'm out. But they're saying he wasn't getting along with Memo Cantu. So, but I mean, once it become official, we'll try to bring in with more details and all that.
Nothing against Memo Cantu, but I mean, really, Memo. I mean, when they announced him the first time, even in the first regime, I was like, really? That guy? I don't get it. We'll see how that's definitely something to keep an eye on. That ends up happening. But Joel, I know that you're very busy man there in Southern California. So we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you listening, joining us here in another late night driving home edition of the CantinaMX podcast. For Joel Aceves, my name is John Jagu. Glad to have you with us, and we will chat with you again probably on our regular Thursday night show. Thanks very much for listening.
Oh, all right, John. This was fun.
Yeah, hang on. I haven't shut the show off yet. Hold on. Give me a second.